A house divided against itself cannot stand divided. Abraham Lincoln said in his famous speech when accepting the Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate from Illinois. His campaign was unsuccessful, but his anti-slavery position helped him to become president right before the Civil War started. Well, I am neither here to talk about Lincoln's political strategies and the meaning of his House divided speech, nor am I going to bore you with some conventional well-known facts about the misunderstandings that might occur between the members of a household. Indeed, the saying can be interpreted as to be referring to the unity of a family. But if these were your expectations from my speech, then I apologize for not living up to them. What I am going to discuss is how this saying can be the key to striking a balance between the contradictory parts that form a whole in our life. A house can only stand as long as its divisions share a common goal. Its structure must be based on decisions that complete each other and on members that respect their role in a team. This principle can also be applied when it comes to establishing a successful political system, and that is what I'm going to try to prove in the following minutes. To begin with, one might easily consider that this quote perfectly fits in the socialist ideology of a united nation, in which all citizens work for the sake of the country and all institutions are owned by the state. However, I highly doubt that this was the idea lying underneath these famous words, and history has come to prove us many times that most of the political systems that made the apparent unity of their citizens compulsory ended their reign shortly. The fall of the socialist regime in Europe stands as a proof to this. This is what also happened to those systems who deny their peoples freedom of choice. Let's just take the example of the Berlin Wall. Although the interests of the most powerful countries divided a nation into two halves, separated literally by a concrete barrier, this house could not stand, eventually collapsing because of the people's desire for a better life in a reunited country. And together and united, we all know how far Germany got. Moreover, let's think of the French Revolution. In this case, the house, that is, the absolute monarchy that ruled France for centuries, was divided between the incapacity of the system ruled by King Louis XVI and the new principles of equality in the common people's minds. The will of the majority was the winning bat, and this epic transformation had a lasting impact broadly throughout the world. So as I said, the house could not stand as long as the needs of the majority were not met. This would lead us to the conclusion that democracy comes as a solution to all problems because it proposes equal rights and it empowers the citizens to choose representatives that will speak on behalf of their desires in a democratic forum. The ideal society is one in which all citizens have different opinions and perceptions, but they are all united in their wish for development and progress. The aim is the same, the means are different. Okay, this might have been a little far-fetched, but let's put it this way. Just imagine yourself aiming for, let's say, a successful career and a relaxing holiday on a remote island at the same time. Imagine a couple in which the two wish for completely different things. In both cases, it is important to acknowledge that the elements that are involved cannot function against each other. Let's suppose the house is the human being divided between sense and sensibility. Follow your heart, and in the end, you will certainly reach the conclusion that your mind warned you about at the very beginning. Go with your rational thinking, and you will always have regrets for not having done otherwise, and you will keep wondering, what if? There will always be an inner struggle that will slowly use up all your resources, unless a balance is struck between sense and sensibility. Follow your heart, but in a way that your mind agrees. So in conclusion, a balance between sense and sensibility will bring peace to our hearts. A balance in a political system between the divided parts of a nation will make that house of state stand And as Ronald Reagan said, there are no easy answers, but there are simple answers. We must have the courage to do what we know is morally right. Thank you.
Are you balanced, or is your inner self struggling?
I'm struggling right now. I've been trying to strike a balance between sense and sensibility, but I believe that if I keep trying, I will make it.
You mentioned in your speech different events from history and different political systems that might or might not work. How do you comment upon the fact that even though we have many democracies nowadays, we also have a few successful monarchies that work and represent the interests of the people?
Well, I believe that each system can be ideal in a state. So democracy might be the solution, but not all democratic states are perfect because they do not use democracy in its pure state. So I believe that all monarchies can also be successful, as well as some socialist systems can also be successful in their own way.
What happens when balance is not reached? Let's say in a government and the body of the government is not capable of action. What happens then to the people, let's say?
Well, I believe that when this balance is not struck, then the country is faced with probably an economic crisis, or perhaps with a civil war, let's say, in the worst case.